This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs the Playbook, and I am so excited because talk about a venue and talk about entrepreneurs. We are here with two great entrepreneurs. I always say this about entrepreneurs, good ones. You stole my idea, bro. These guys are the co-founders, William Toms, and of course, David Silver over there, not from the NBA. But you guys have this business, REC,
Yep.
and you have solved so many different issues that exist today in the business world, the socioeconomic world, even in the humanitarian sense of what's going on. You created a unique co-working facility that you put into shopping malls. It's incredible. So let's take a step back. As entrepreneurs, how did you two guys hook up?
Yeah, so Dave and I actually met in high school.
Oh,
right?
wow.
So went to the same high school. Tom's, Silver, always kind of had last names that were close to each other, and
Graduation right by each other?
something like
Yeah,
that.
we were always right by each other no matter where we
Yeah. So a couple really great group projects led to figuring out like, hey, you've got a really cool working style that complements mine. We really enjoyed working together, and really enjoyed even learning about each other's differences, right? And I think through that we kind of were like, yo, this is dope. We both ultimately care about the same things. I think we both kind of understood early. We're like, we want to build something. We want to be entrepreneurs. And I think we really got connected over that, plus specifically media, right?
Absolutely.
Media and entertainment, from running, the announcements in high school together. And we knew after high school, it was like, okay, well, we know we want to be around creativity. We liked, how that felt for us. And a lot of our friends early on were artists. And we kind of found ourselves saying, hey, well, how do we help them make that a reality? How do we play kind of like that pseudo management role? And just years later, that kind of turned into almost an exact replica of what we had back in high school, right? A space to just hang out and kind of express ourselves and think about the business strategies. And that's just kind of elevated over time to what we have now at REC.
When we find a best friend and we decide, hey, we should go into business together, number one of the difficulties a lot of people don't think of is you both have parents. And so your relationship is between the two of you, but as a young age, being entrepreneurial, usually takes some sort of parent support. Was there any issues with either of your parents, or how did you deal with those issues if there were?
I mean, I don't know. I think both of our parents were really supportive around us kind of figuring out that we wanted to build a business, right? I was raised with my grandmother, and she kind of instilled that, like, you can do anything you want.
Absolutely.
Right? There are no limits. And I think same for your parents.
I think we both come from a very diverse background, but one commonality is like we were surrounded by love as young kids, all growing up, and always with the idea that we can go chase after our dreams, and they'll always be there to support it. And I still get that. His GMOT comes out to all the events, and likewise for my parents. And it's always still that exact same feeling of love and support since we were growing up in high school.
It's interesting because you guys are kind of William's grandmother to this space, right? That's what this is about, is the way that they created a vision for you and allowing you to, materialize your imaginations with full support and love, right? All of the different things. When I first came here, as you're building this out, that's the vibe that I got, being specific to creatives, really understanding and tailoring everything from the stage that you have, the event space, to the bar, to all the different amenities that you have, from production studios, audio studios. You really are like a grandmother, right? They want to make sure you get exactly what you want to eat, right? That's what always makes your grandmother better than your parents, right? They make you eat whatever they have, not your grandmother, right? So you're like, oh, hold on, you like it with less salt? I'll make it with less salt. That's literally what you've been able to do with REC. Still though, one of the biggest challenges beyond that is money. Right? All the support in the world is great from our parents, but this is not a cheap venture.
Absolutely.
Right? And a lot of people want to know, like, how long does it take for these overnight successes to, at least get financing for, this is your second one, you're expanding out. You have one in North Philly. This is the one here in the shopping mall in Central Philly. But there's a lot of money issues that go on in building a business like this.
Absolutely.
How have you guys dealt with strategizing together, sharing the stress and the worries, and also the finances?
So it starts from 2012. That's kind of the
overnight
date.
success.
The
Man.
date goes back to really.
You're 7 years in. You got 25% of the way there.
We threw our first show in 2012 without a dollar to our names and what we were doing. We were just thankful that the events that we were producing were able to make like $10, $15, and literally we would invest the $25 we just made into the next event, going
What was that first event, by the way?
Oh man, in the basement.
The basement of my house.
A party, like a DJ party or something?
We threw, so it was all about providing a platform for our best friends when we were first starting who were hip hop artists. So we transformed the basement of the house into a concert venue, booked like some like local headlining hip hop group and had our friends support. And it was a sold out show.
Nice.
We threw multiple sellout concerts in the basement before we ever took the show on the road and would take over
What did you
dive
name
bars.
the venue? What was the venue name?
It was called the Broad Street Music Lounge, which eventually, once we took it on the road, turned it into the Broad Street Music Group, and that was our first LLC as a company. It was the first business we owned together was the Broad Street Music Group.
Excellent.
Back in 2013.
Yeah, and I think something that was really special about what we realized early on was it started off, hey, we just need a space to be able to throw these events for our friends, right? And then that turned into there's tons of creative people who want a space to just highlight their talent, to just showcase their art. And we realized like, yo, it's not difficult for us to fill a room, right? And then we realized, whoa, if this room is full, this is valuable to somebody, right? We're in here, we're hungry, we wish we were eating some pizza. We want to be drinking, some sort of drink. And we realized really early that this was probably super valuable to brands who wanted access to ourselves and the other creatives that were hanging out with us. And I think that was kind of the early seedlings of the agency that we went on to create.
That's a great awareness because I know I used to run a notable sports agency, and one of the things that I told Lee Steinberg, who's like a legendary Jerry Maguire figure, and he's like, well, you've never done this before, and I'm going to make you the CEO of my company. Why would I do that? I said, because I know how to get clients and keep them. And that's what you do, right? If you can bring people in and keep them, and that's what you've proven. Now, one of the scariest times about being an entrepreneur is the success.
Oof.
Right? And because people don't get this, right? It's the 17 and a half years to get to where you're at least comfortable. That's the overnight success ratio that I've come up with.
Wow.
10 years to 25%, 5 years to 50, 2.5 years to 100. But the good news is if you get there, then it's 200% in the 3/4 of a year, 7/8 of a year, 400. And then you hockey stick up to Bezos, $100 billion.
Cool. So we have
I'll be
something to look
partnering
forward
with
to.
you guys
Sounds
there.
good, right?
Yeah, you're good. But until you get then, and you guys feel this now, people don't realize they see that successful rec Philly, North Philly right now.
Yeah.
And now they see you building a 10,000 square foot, right here, highly visible. It's its own advertising. I mean, there's so many different, we're going to get into things that you're addressing. But this is when the money really gets stressful. Because it's like, well, we kind of made it, but now we have to invest everything and more, and we could lose it all.
I mean, we spent, it's been about 18 months just trying to raise any capital to pull off this project, and we found success about 10 months into this 18-month journey, but it's really just to spend it all, right? It's just to literally go back to where we were 18 months ago in order to then build the business off of what we just fundraised for. And people don't realize that. We had a headline of how much money we raised over the course of 18 months, and now they've been contacting us, hey, can you sponsor our events?
Right.
Can you pay for this? And it's like, hey, we actually are just a bootstrap startup that just has a beautiful facility that we can now operate our business out of. People don't realize that.
Plus
You should
being
take
able
them
to
down here for a tour and say, look, I'm really interested in sponsoring. Why don't you come down here and see where we're at?
Right. And when you get to do, some of the bright moments in that is, being able to hire more full-time staff and, pay benefits and things like that. Like those are the proud moments, but we're still having to get just as creative now as we did before. If not more creative. So
absolutely.
And how did you raise the money? A lot of people, they want to bootstrap it like you have and go ahead and take 18 months to do that. What was your strategy of raising money?
Hearing a lot of no.
Absolutely hearing a lot of no. But I mean, for the first 5 or 6 years of us building this business, it's all about building strong relationships.
Was it family and friends, or what? Did you go outside?
Outside, no family and friends. It was really just, we built these valuable relationships around the city with, through our agency and doing work with various CEOs in the community. Building a good relationship with them, and then when it was time to finally present our plan, we've never asked for anything for any of these people. It was always like, hey, how can we help? How can we engage you with our local artists and this and that? And we made a plan. We really had no idea really what we were doing because we never raised $1 before this in investment capital. And we presented this plan to probably like 3-4 dozen people. Every single person was like, sounds like a great idea, but it's not an investment opportunity we would go into. Finally, we found one person, a really great local CEO in the city, and he said, I love this, but this is not a good investment structure. He said, let me tweak your investment structure so it's favorable for everyone involved, and everyone could be more excited about the future of your organization. Because the way we were offering it, it was like, just invest in Philadelphia. Just invest in this space, not like where we plan on going as a global organization. So they helped tweak some numbers. He's like, I'll chip in a little bit if you do this. He did that one fix, and we steamrolled from there.
Absolutely. And that was really interesting too, because Dave and I don't think we've ever had trouble thinking small, right?
Yeah.
But then when it came to such a new arena where it was like raising capital, then all of a sudden we're like, hey, we know that the vision is not just rec here in Philly. We're gonna go out and do this in other cities as well. But we're like, oh, well, we're unproven, to a certain extent. So how about we just think about getting people excited about the one location? But we found out that actually wasn't the way. It was like people wanted to understand, what is the vision, what is the mission, and why? And then we found the right partners who were able to say, hey, I want to partner to make this happen.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to find someone that sits in the situation that you want to be in. When you accidentally, I try to get people to purposefully ask. And speaking about asking, asking for money is difficult. When you're an entrepreneur, especially because our ego gets in the way that, we can do it ourselves, we can bootstrap, we didn't need anyone's money. But there's some weird transition that happens when it's different than selling your space. Right? When you're saying, hey, give us money so we can get people to show up and do that kind of things. Tell me some of the fears that you guys had or some of the difficulties you had in raising money emotionally. Did you guys have worthiness issues, or was there kind of nerves?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And that's something I got to kind of reflect on just like as of late. I realized that, showing up in these meetings, in the first half of our fundraising, I do feel like I experienced a lot of that. Just like you're sitting, on this side of the table and you're thinking, I'm talking to this guy who's got millions of dollars, and it's almost like my future's in his hands, right? So you show up in a way where it's just like, oh man, I'm so glad you could meet, right? And this and that. But then I realized there was a moment for me, and I got to do a really awesome leadership retreat, kind of like halfway through our fundraising. On the other side of it, I look back and I was like, what am I doing, right? I'm showing up and I'm
Good for you, man.
Yeah, and I'm realizing like, no. I mean, that's cool. And it's awesome to be able to partner with folks to do this, but it's like, we knew that what we were going to do, even when we were hearing 4 and 5 and 6 yeses. And the reality was we had to just have that mental shift where it's like, this is going to get done with or without you, but I really want to just offer you this opportunity, right?
Don't you think that investors can sense your insecurity?
100%.
Absolutely.
You're right. And the insecurity
100%.
isn't necessarily you're insecure about the business. It may just be other aspects of what you're doing, like you're insecure about your business plan, your structure, or you're just insecure about presenting. And, I try to tell, because, I'm now that old guy with millions of dollars that people sit in front of, and I see myself in front of me going, oh my God, if you just could treat your friends like your bosses and your bosses like your friends, if you could be above the game and just let me feel exactly how you got here, and just look, because in the end, right, most first-time businesses and entrepreneur investments fail. And I believe there's only one reason they succeed, and it's because the entrepreneurs don't quit. Right? You stay in business long enough, you'll be successful.
It's our playbook.
And what I look for, I can change your business plan. I can tweak it, whatever, but I will send you away if I feel that you won't get it done. In fact, on my TV show Elevator Pitch, it kills me when a CEO sits in the elevator and screws up and stops and lets the other 30 seconds go. I'm like, oh, you save me time, because if you're going to make a mistake and then quit, go ahead. I don't care inherent in your personality. You don't belong here. How did you, and I think this is the most valuable question I've asked of young entrepreneurs, you guys did make an energy shift. Like I could see it when you were talking, like you were timid and all of a sudden you went to your leadership conference and realized, wait a second, I need to articulate how I feel more than the business structure. How did you guys make that shift together?
Man, I think so much of what we do is all about energy, like you mentioned. And I think that it's just when you're so in it, right, and you're grinding night in and night out, I think you get easily caught up in this idea of never not working, right? And you get so caught up in like the no days off. And believe me, like that was our life for 4 years, right? Every single day, Saturdays, Sundays, to the point where it was like there was nothing I was ever doing that I didn't feel like some way, somehow was connecting to getting further in the business. And I think that's so important, but I'm realizing now and I'm learning now that has to be balanced with the self-care, right? Because if I'm, pulling the all-nighters 3 nights in a row, there's no way I'm going to show up to that next responsibility and actually be able to give it 100, right? I used to believe that I could.
I've done that too. I do give you guys some mentorship right here because this has changed my life in the same direction. Once I understood, one, there's only activity in my life, right? We've got 24 hours of pragmatic time. There's only activity that we have. And what I want to do as an entrepreneur is maximize the activity that I get paid for. I also want to enjoy all activities. So what I do is I don't think that I love what I do ever, but I pick the things that I know I can learn to love to do. In other words, I look for things that I can find the light in. And I'm an optimist like you too, right? I'm born with the same grandparents and parents, the same philosophies, but I literally believe that my success is derived from the fact that I have segregated I don't take time off. People, you see my videos, right? I'm all over the place. I don't take time off. Why? Because I'm only doing what I enjoy to do. And the analogy I use is, I'd play second base for the Padres and pay them $2 million to do it. They pay the second baseman $2 million.
Right.
And once again, Padres came in last place. So I could guarantee the team again next year, if they're listening, I'll play second base for you and pay you $2 million. Save the other $2 million, don't have to pay him, a $4 million swing, and guarantee you'll come in the same place. Now,
Not a bad deal.
That's not a bad deal. But it's activity that he gets paid for and that I would pay for. But yet he would probably say that I have to go to work, honey, when he's going to the game.
All right.
Right? Where I would, like, all 162 days that I was out there would be like,
The best
oh
days.
my God.
Yeah.
That's what I look for in entrepreneurs. That's what I look for in my own life.
Yeah.
Can I be as excited to rush to work as I am to rush home? Am I always looking at, hey, how can this activity, as you guys are entrepreneurs, you go to Cabo, you might meet some great real estate investors playing golf in Cabo. That's activity you get paid for.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And so that's the vision you want. Go ahead, Dave.
And that kind of goes into the work-life integration that we always talk about. Because
Absolutely.
everyone's always asking us, how is our work-life balance? And we're like, we actually don't use that term around in our culture, because for us, our work is our life, and like a healthy way to say it. And it's just everything is integrated together. So when we are enjoying ourselves wherever we are, we understand that our business is also a part of our lives, and we always look out for those opportunities. And when we're working, we're enjoying it, and it's the things that we love to do.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of like the backbone of our culture across the board.
Yeah. And even that, like, that's a big part of the reason why we built the company we're building, right? And for who we're building it for. I think before we figured out our business model exactly, I think we knew we want to be valuable to creative people, because we really believe life is better when you do what you love. So then we kind of peeled that back and said, okay, so we've been working with these thousands of creatives. What's getting in the way of them actually going after what they want to be doing? And then that's where it came down to, well, everyone said I'm talented but no resources, right? Or I'm talented but I just don't know the strategies to actually build a direct-to-consumer business around my art. Or I'm talented but no one around me does this, right? It gets lonely. And those were the same, things that we wanted to say, okay, we know how to solve that problem.
Right on. Last question. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. So, David, I'm asking you, you're both going to get one. I want you to tell me what you think William Tom's biggest fear is moving forward.
Ooh.
Will's biggest fear moving forward. I got a lot racing through my mind right now.
That's all right. Pick one.
That's a great question.
Will's biggest thing. I think we have like I don't know if it's his biggest fear, but it's kind of like one of my fears that kind of goes off on him. But like Will is like our person of our organization. He is the
end of this interview.
Yeah, he's the creative entrepreneur. He's the creative entrepreneur in which we're all trying to have people emulate the strategies. And at some point, I don't know if it's going to be our members who will become the spokespeople, or it's going to be Will who will continue to be the spokesperson. And I don't really think that's Will's fear of what that happening one way or the other. But I think there's going to be an obstacle at some point of like what faces lead the charge. And I'm excited to have to run into that problem nationwide of like who is the face is behind this whole global movement.
That's awesome. And then behind that, I'm going to ask you a question, William. Where do you think that David sees himself when he's my age, 51? Where do you think he sees himself at 51?
I think at 51, man, I think Dave really appreciates being the guy to just be able to make things happen, right? He works really hard, and I think by 51, he's going to be like, all right, how do I make sure I have these beautiful box seats at the Eagles game, knowing that,
41.
I've done 41 is
31.
Knowing beforehand.
Right, knowing that we've been able to build something incredible with Rec and then moved on and built more incredible businesses. I think that's where Dave wants to be at 51.
More incredible.
That's awesome. Well, you guys are the epitome of friends as well as entrepreneurs. And I get to interview and blessed to interview a lot of entrepreneurs. And I know that you guys will be successful, not just because of what I see behind you, but more importantly, because of your relationship. It's really based off of synergistic values. And you guys truly know one another and would be willing, I think, to line from the bus to make sure this gets done. So if you're looking for a next round of financing, make sure you reach out to me.
Let's do that.
This
Got
is
it.
awesome. We got
Say
the
that.
boys from Rec here in Philly, an incredible idea, revolutionizing retail spaces by creating a creative workspace in a unique way. This is Dave Meltzer with David Silver and William Toms here with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.